Man, I hope Brasso is gonna be okay. Let me know if he calls, babe. Oh, that was live. The audio is on. Welcome to the post show. My name is Keith. This is the behind the scenes of the live stream. A little bit more about my personal world. Get acquainted. I'm looking forward to actually getting a chance to have some of the people that have been on this journey with me together on the live with me in the post show, and hope to have Adam Tao here back. He did announce a new version of Mix Effects. I'm using it, though I can't go into any great details. So welcome to the post show. I wanted to talk about, the challenge. I have so many ideas. I wanted to talk about my Sekonic light meter in the first show, but there's just not time to cover all these things because I'd really have to break into this. But if you use a light meter, let me know. Obviously, I bought this because I do some photography, and I also have this is the Sekonic LiteMaster Pro L478DR. They have a new version of this now. This will actually control my wireless flash controllers. So I have some Einsteins by Paul C. Buff, 3 of them. They're like studio flashes. I have soft boxes, and I have some pocket wizards that plug into those. And this will actually fire those pocket wizards. So I can actually be on my light meter, check the side of someone or a set if I wanted to use those lights, because they have a model mode. So you don't have to use them in flash, but you can use them in model mode. And I can use this to actually set the brightness of those lights. So I'm used to wireless way of changing lights like I can here in my Stream Deck. But it's kind of cool that this will not only help me check the light in this room. Now, to be honest with you, I haven't used it that much for live streaming because I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And but in reality, if you want to get your light perfect, this will get your light perfect. And it has this little light meter right here, and it'll go in so that you get more direction. So if I want to get just that key light and not have this one spill over, I can kind of hide it. Or I can get it out and it'll get like an average. So when you see a camera that has average or it has a spot meter, this is more spot metering and this is more average metering. And this is all I'm going to share about this. Then inside the case, I can switch off that light meter for this one. And this is actually a spot meter. So if I want to do some landscape photography and see exactly what the sky meter's at, so then I can use my filters and decide I want to bring down the sky 1 stop or 2 stops. And I have some leaf filters. I love landscape. I'm sharing that with you guys because rarely do I get a chance to talk about photography on the show or landscape photography because it's kind of hard to go live out there. So one day I'll do some videos on that. But this will come onto that same light meter, and I have a spot meter, which is great for landscape. And I could even use it to look across the room. There's something specific I want to have lit perfectly, and it's on the other side of the room, and I'm going to zoom into it. I could use a spot meter as well and just make sure that I'm at the right aperture and I have the right shutter speed. And obviously when you're doing video, it limits your shutter speed. Your shutter speed should be twice your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 30 frames per second, then you set your shutter speed for 60 and you leave it, that's for video. So if you didn't know that, there's a little information for you. And then you can adjust the ISO, which is the sensitivity of the camera. That used to be film. Now it's the sensor in the camera, and there's different qualities of sensors. Some of them are full frame, some of them are micro third chips, and all of those things affect how much light they can get in. And because my cameras are all full frame, they do really good in low light. I mean, I can really push those sensors. This one right now is set at 3200 ISO. And it doesn't really get a grainy image. It can still do that. That's pushing it to the very max. And that lets me keep this at like 5.6 aperture because I really don't want to blur out the background when I have guests in here. Now, occasionally I'll do that, but when they're moving around and there's more one person at a table, I find that 5.6 is just a good aperture to have. And that gives you, because what aperture does when you get to the smaller numbers, like let's say a 2.0 or 1.2, your focus plane gets really small. In fact, I have one lens, I think I have two lenses that'll do 1.2, an 85 millimeter older version Canon L lens, and then I have a 50 millimeter lens that does 1.2. And literally, if I focus on the tip of my nose, my eye sockets start getting out of focus and my ears just become out of focus. So the focus plane, when you get to the lower numbers, gets tinier. And when you get out to 5.6 or you're shooting landscape, you want to probably shoot at an f-stop of 9 or more when you're doing landscape. And then you got to decide where you're going to focus. Because remember, you have a limited focus plane. So they always say to kind of focus at 1/3 into the landscape. And that's kind of hard to determine if you're shooting a lake and then a skyline and mountains in the background. Where do you put that focus dot and to focus? And that is a learned art. And you take a lot of photographs when you're doing that. And obviously that makes a big difference. So I want to say thanks for all you guys that joined me in the post show. I have with me right now, Tony from Controlling, Freddie, our Quick Tech, Tony, Controlling Technologies is here. Freddie is here. Also have, saw down here, Stop and Think. Hi, Keith. Missed most of the earlier show. We'll watch it to repeat late, but checking in from the post show now. Hank in Bluffton, South Carolina. Thanks for joining us, Hank, and appreciate you diving in the post show. Hopefully the post show will be more fun for you guys. And I'm not going to say any question goes because obviously I have some boundaries, but I do want to be able to answer more questions in this show about things like that. We've got, let's see who I missed. Craig is in the house. And is the light meter the L478D? No, this is and I think the newer version, so this is the DR. And this is the one that actually has a label on it for Pocket Wizards. And they have a new model of this. So I've had this for a while. Actually, I did a trade. I did a recording in my old studio. And one of the things I traded for was this light meter. So sometimes I'll trade equipment instead of charging a client. And I needed a light meter. And so I got it. And so I've had it and used it for a long time. And it goes with me anytime I go out to shoot some high-end landscape photography, which is mostly just for fun. So hope that helps you. Good to see David Osler here. David, I'm looking forward to chatting about photography. And if you go to David's channel, he is a photographer by trade, very good photographer, does a lot of portraits and a lot of training on his channel. So check out David's channel here. And any of these guys, make sure you're going to the channel and subscribing, especially when you see these people every week, subscribing and liking their videos, even if it doesn't necessarily fit in your wheelhouse. But if they do a great job and you like them as a person, then go occasionally and say, I like it, and comment to them. Because a lot of times that's the only feedback we get when we're uploading a video. The reason I like live is because of the feedback and the interaction. And I do way more live now than I do uploaded videos. And if anybody understands the algorithm of Google, YouTube, that's not the best thing to do if you want to build a channel and if you want to make money at live streaming or having a YouTube channel. So keep that in mind, but this is my passion, and I'd rather be with you in a chat than just a talking head on a video. And actually, you're going to see one of those tonight with Grace, because I did an interview yesterday. That's when I could get her in the studio and do some work for her. And I also asked her permission to interview her and share her with you guys tonight. She is a client, and I just wanted you guys to kind of see that backside of what I do here inside the studio, because this is really Life Journey Production Studios. And I have some space in my garage that I can do green screen work and some photography, but I don't do a lot of video out there because it's not soundproof, and everybody who drives by or the dogs barking outside or the lawn being mowed would come through there. And occasionally that comes through here, but I stream at a time that most people are not mowing their lawn until summer comes, and you never know. Okay, so I think I hit everybody. Craig, I said hi to Conjoling, said hi to Freddie. What would be the best lens to photograph the moon? I'm not really a star or a moon photographer, but obviously, something that's going to function really good in low light, because obviously you're going to have to be late at night. But again, the moon's pretty bright. And probably David, you would be a better person to answer that question, because I would probably just pull out my my 70 to 200, 2.8 in that situation. 2.8, I think might, I also have the 50 1.2, 85 millimeter, which is, kind of a pain Canon lens because it has that kind of mechanical expansion focus, and it doesn't even work once you turn the camera off. Drives me crazy, and there's no ability to adjust it by hand unless you have it on the camera. And they've updated that lens, but it was expensive, and I'm not replacing it anytime soon. But that's a great photography lens, 85 millimeter. So is 70 to 200. It's in that ballpark, and a little bit more flattering. It doesn't make people look bigger because the real wide lens will make people look bigger, and you don't want to do that when you're doing portrait photography. The other thing too, and David, chime in here, right? If you want to bring the background forward, right? So if you do want to bring it forward, then obviously a 200 millimeter is going to begin to compress the background. And that's a big difference, not just getting more things in the lens, but when you get to those 150, 200 millimeters, even longer than that, you're not only pulling up the subject, but you're pulling the background up too. And so it really kind of changes the whole look and feel of that. One of these days we'll illustrate that. It's kind of hard to get the 200 out in a 11-foot room, but we'll illustrate that one day. So maybe you can get an idea of how those lenses compress the background. So, and if you have any questions about photography, get over and check out David's channel and ask questions there as well, because he is a professional photographer by trade. I'm more of a social media videographer, live streamer, YouTuber, ventriloquist. I'm lots of things, but I'm focusing right now on helping businesses get on live, get on social media, using video production, using those tools to make a difference in their business world. That's one of my passions, and I'm doing a lot of mentoring in that area. So again, hi, Dave. Good to have you here, talking a lot about you tonight. I hope I'm not embarrassing you. So Freddie, I would say, you got to have something that can does good in low light, including a camera that does good in low light. I don't know how else to answer that question. Okay, so let me go back here and see if there's any questions, and then we're going to dive into a book that I purchased to add to my Batman 1966 collection, just because I had some discretionary money during the holidays. It was for personal gifts, and I wanted to start building a collection of some of these items. I am still going to open them up. I know that's not the best thing if you're really trying to create value, but I also wanted them to be a conversational piece when people come over here, especially my family, and we hang out. My grandson loves Marvel, loves comics, and so he's going to bring his Marvel book over, and I'm going to use my On the Bus, and we're going to hang out together and share some stories. Okay. Out of coffee, so I only have this now. Okay. Let's talk about Ratso for real quick, because I made that comment. Ratso's been in the case for so long, and you guys motivated me. You encouraged me. You mentored him and me to appear together, and we did that last week. I hope you enjoyed it. But as I was practicing with him, too late to do anything about it, he had some injuries because he's been in the case. I got him out a couple times with my grandkids a while back when they were really young, and they did some grabbing, and how it happens. And there is a couple things that need to be repaired. So he is going to go through some minor surgery. It's nothing major. Not near as bad as some of the Seattle Seahawks got during the last 3 games of the season. So, but he is on injured reserve right now. He's not going to be here tonight. He is resting and getting ready to go out of town for some repair, at least maybe out of the town I specifically live in. So keep that in mind when you ask where Ratso is tonight. He is healing up. So thank you very much for your condolences. I'll give Ratso any messages that you like to relay to him, and he should be back soon. So Tony asked Freddie what his channel is going to be about. So let me just say this real quick, Freddie. If you're free with me sharing anything, let me know. I know a little bit about Freddie. We've been in contact. I've been on a live stream with Tony before, and we've emailed back and forth, but I've spent some Zoom conversations with with Freddie. And as you've seen here in the chat, he is from Venezuela, and he does speak English and his native Spanish there, which is probably its own dialect in Venezuela. I don't speak any Spanish, even though I live amongst a lot of Spanish-speaking people, but they speak English as well, and I have a great relationship with lots of Hispanics here in the area, but I've never been able to take on another language. So, Freddie, if you're okay with me sharing a couple things, or you can just reach out and chat to Tony on your own. So right now, the lens that I'm in front of, and I actually have a tape measure. So I sit usually right about here. And I know that because my chair, I have carpet, so my chair kind of puts holes in the, not holes, but dimples inside the little plastic leg chair thing I have down here. It's, you know, I bought a thicker one because of the fact that I'm heavy enough that I put indentations in it. So from my tip of my nose to the lens, and I'm not going to touch the lens, but I'll get as close as I can, I'm about 34 inches. So, and I think right now I'm at 5.6, f5.6. I'm set it auto for ISO, so it adjusts automatically. I don't see that on the screen unless I go start pushing buttons. Shooting at 60 frames per second, 29.97 frames per second. So I have the shutter speed set for 60, and I leave it like that. So really the only adjustments that I could make on this camera to change the light would be to open or close the aperture, or raise and lower the ISO, which again is the sensitivity of the sensor, and all cameras nowadays have those unless you're using a film camera, and then the film that you buy will have a particular ISO. And obviously you're going to use something with a higher number if you're shooting at night, and something with a lower number if you're shooting during the day. And these cameras now can adjust up and down ISO, and the newer cameras with the nicer sensors can go really high in ISO, which is great when you're shooting outdoors, which will compensate for a more higher end sensor. Will help you maybe save some money on a higher end lens, but you want to get good glass one way or the other. All my lenses right now are Canons. They're all Ls. I don't have any non-L lenses, and that's just the nicer line of Canons. I don't have any of the new RF mounts that fit my new Canon EOS R. I have to have an adapter, so I have the Canon adapter. And then I also have I forget what the brand is right now, but I have another adapter that will let me change one factor inside the EOS R. So I could change the ISO, or I could change the something that's not on the camera. So you can change the shutter speed, and you can change the aperture as my default settings, but I'm used to my Canon 5D Mark IV and my 5D Mark III, and I can change 3 items. It's got the wheels that I can change almost everything behind the camera. So I'm not a fan of that with the EOS R, but I am a fan that it will do clean HDMI 4K out, and 10-bit, I believe, 422, and that's pretty cool. What that means is that instead of it having that last bit of compression and being 420, it'll actually let me do a little bit more changing of exposure. I get a little bit more detail from 422. So if I ever use 422 outside of my Canon EOS R, it would be to go straight to my hyperdeck, or I would record in the card. And the weird thing about these cameras is that what it'll come out of the camera sometimes is a better quality than what it will record inside the camera. Again, because they're trying to give you a codec that will work with your discs. And when they have the HDMI out, they just kind of say, okay, we're going to do a clean 422 out, compressed or uncompressed, whatever, raw. And then you have to find some tool to record that. And because my hyperdecks both will do 4K 30 frames per second, 422, I would just choose that ProRes and then hit record. My Canon 5D Mark IV only does clean HDMI out. It will not do 4K out. So I could never record 4K from this camera unless I record inside. And I can record inside or outside of my EOS R. Man. Okay, let's get into the show. But that's all cool stuff. and that spills over. So if you're wondering the battery life, it depends on how bright you have these. This one already died, and it's wirelessly chargeable, or you can plug a USB-C into it. These are Aperture MC lights. I have the softbox on it, and I love these softboxes. It makes the light softer. And this is what it looks like. And so that one was on my shelf, and it is warm, and the battery is flashing, letting me know that it's done for the night. So if I turn this off and put it where I normally had my old phone, it'll go into a charging mode right there on my little stand. And I wanted to let you guys know that I got the new iPhone 13 Pro. And so we are going to be talking about what you can do in cinema mode with these new phones. And we're going to be talking about that very soon here on the channel. I don't really do reviews and stuff on iPhones, but one of these nights I'm actually going to have this my main camera, so you guys can try to catch me. And I'm going to be using cinema mode. And we'll see if you can tell the difference between my 5D Mark IV and that Apple iPhone, which I will be having to figure out the delay, because I'm going to be running it probably direct into my Extreme instead of tethering through my Apple TV. So, and I do have the adapter. To do that, you have to have this adapter, and this is HDMI to Lightning, and that plugs into the phone, and then you go HDMI to your ATEM or your YOLO box or whatever, your Roland. And there's some cool things coming out from Roland. Looking forward to seeing if I can get my hands on one of their new devices that they've announced, and that will be exciting to have on the show as well. So this light meter actually has a touch screen, which is another thing I really like about it, and we'll talk more about the light meter maybe after we do our 1,000 subscriber live stream. Okay, so let me do this. So because I've been collecting, I'm not a comic reader, but this is actually all of the 1966 comics for Batman by these authors. You've got Jeff Parker, you've got Michael Alfred, you got Laura Alfred, and Jonathan Case, and all of these guys created comics for DC, and this is a collection. It's called the Omnibus. They have them, lots of these, and it's very big, and it's got lots of pages, and there is even a lost version of the Batman series in here, which was also enticing. So it has never been opened, and you don't understand during my R&R the last couple days how much I wanted to have this out of the package, but I never opened it. I haven't looked at it yet. I've watched videos on YouTube, but because I appreciate you guys joining me for the live streams and the post show, and this is something that I'm collecting, I wanted to open it up for you guys. And so there it is out of the plastic. And I have seen the inside of it online, but I have never opened it. So I'm going to share that with you first. So this is the first ever opening of this book. And so you got all these pages and all these different comic writers. And so you have all of these inside this omnibus. And so I'll be reading that. This is the spine. It actually comes off. So if I take this off very carefully, pull that off, and set that down here where I'm not going to step on it, then this is what it looks like. So you got artwork there. You got artwork there. The famous of the Batman and Robin. Oops, that's upside down climbing. And the guest people would be in the building, open it up and talking to them as they were going by. And then some really cool artwork on the back. And again, very thick. This is going to be one of the conversation pieces with my grandson. Again, he is a teenager going into teenage preteen years, and it'll be fun to connect with him with this, just like I was able to connect with Bryson with my my Boba Fett helmet build, Lego build. And so that's exciting. Just want to share that with you guys. Not going to go into any more details. With that, I do want to real quickly give you guys a better view of the inside, just because you deserve it. And so I'm going to open this up with my Canon 5D Mark III, which is now live. And let me cut to it. And cut to camera 3 here. So we'll zoom out just a little bit and make sure I have plenty of light here. And here's just a look at some of the artwork. There's different artists in here, so they all have kind of their own style. And if you're into comics or you read comics when you were a kid, I did a little bit of comics. I was a big Spider-Man fan, and I never really did Batman comics, but obviously I know people collect them, and they're worth, older copies are worth a lot of money. And so I just thought I would get something here like this to go with my other Batmobiles, and just have this as a collector item here in the studio. I'm going to set that over on my other Batman book, which is about the TV series, and they're all right there. Let me cut to camera 1 here. And so if I zoom out here, this is the set I use when I'm sitting down. And then I have the table over in the corner here, which you guys can see better from camera 2. And the table is right there against the wall. And I actually have a MC light on top of it. I think I never turned it on. So I usually have an MC light there that gives me that effect, and I can change the colors of that underneath my screen there. But that table sits right here in this shot for my wife's podcast, and the table goes right here where you see the 2 books. So you got the new omnibus there, and then the 1966 history of the Batman TV series. That's right there. So those 2 are going to be conversational pieces, and I may have those out when I have a client in here, but I set the table right here, and it's literally, I can touch the table when it's set up. And I had one of my clients in here this week that I'm working with doing some mentoring, and she has her own business. Her name is Grace, and I did a little video, and I want to know if you guys want to see it, because I do have a still image, and I have the video ready, queued up with a macro. And she talks a little about where she comes from. And we talked just a little bit about the relationship. And I edited it down to get it as short as I can. It is not short. It's about 6 or 7 minutes. So if you guys are game, give me a thumbs up. Or if you would rather do Q&A and skip the video, I'll give you a few seconds of the video. And I'll actually have it later on in a intro video for one of these, and have it playing before I come on live. But I got it prepared for you tonight. I wanted to introduce you to some of the behind the scenes stuff. And this is actually a client of mine that I'm working with right now in social media, how to use YouTube, how to use Facebook, how to advertise in Facebook, how to create videos. I created a promo video for her, which I'm going to be showing you guys in a later live stream. But let me know right now if you guys would like to see that video. So I just need some thumbs ups or yes, let's watch. And if I get 2 or 3 of those, we'll play the video, and I'll cool the room off while you guys are watching the video, because it's getting hot in here. Thank you. Very cool book. Enjoyed Ratso. That's awesome. Tony asked me if I think Blackmagic Design is going to release a 4K extreme version. I don't think so. I think they're going to release some rack-mounted higher-end ones. That's my theory, and as well as a lot of other people I listen to here on social media. But you know, Blackmagic Design, they surprise us all the time. I don't think they're going to come out with an SDI version of the ATEM Extreme or the ATEM Minis, because the rack mounts were designed SDI, including the HybridX. Most of the inputs in a HybridX were SDI. The only reason they added HDMI, in my opinion, in the HD Plus was to help some of us that were using the ATEM desk models. But the other models, the higher end models, have SDI and HDMI, and that's what I think they're going to update. So all their higher end stuff and their rack mounted stuff. And that was a question by Tony. I'd love to have something to do 4K, though I'm not sure how many people are going to actually stream 4K. I understand a lot of people will record 4K so they can upload it later from their ATEMs, but streaming 4K, you'd have to have really good bandwidth, and I don't know if it's necessary when someone's watching on smart devices or iPads or laptops until they get to big, gigantic monitors. We have Al Tekelin. I think I'm pronouncing that right with us tonight. I missed you. Thanks for joining me. Awesome. Might as well be Batman, I always say. You're an Adam West fan. Cool. That's awesome. He passed away. He finally got his star at Hollywood Walk of Fame, thanks to his daughter and some close friends. They fought and finally got him his star, and he is gone now. So Batman nostalgia and things that were sold back in the day, from lunch boxes to every type thing Batman stuff that you might find or you have stored somewhere, don't get rid of it. It's going to be very, very valuable going forward. Yes on the video, yes in the video, yes in the video. What's the XLR patch panel connect to? So that is called the HOSA, model number SLW-333. It's a line-in signal switch. And so I have my main outputs of my Rodecaster Pro coming into it because I need it to go to more than one destination. One destination is my JBL studio monitors, and that's what I used when I was mastering audio, mixing audio in my old recording studio. I have those speakers, I kept them. And so I want to be able to go to those when I'm in here editing and have really good quality flat audio with a subwoofer when I'm doing some editing in here. If I ever need to do a high-end job for a client that's going to be 4K and it's going to be out there on social media and maybe be displayed in 4K or a big venue, then I'm going to make sure that I master that audio and I use all the techniques and tools that I have at my disposal to do that. That's what I'd use these studio monitors. I also come out of it and go to a 6G converter. And when I want to record 4K from my EOS R into my HyperDeck, I have to come into my HyperDeck from that unit and find a way to get sound into it too, because there's no XLR jack in the HyperDecks. There is in some units that they have that aren't HyperDecks that you can buy from Blackmagic Design, but there isn't one in that HyperDeck. So if I want to get audio in, I have to then feed it in while I'm converting. So I might as well convert HDMI to 6G SDI and buy the Blackmagic Design 6G converter, and it has right and left audio inputs. And so I feed one of the channels from my HOSA switch into my 6G converter. And so the video and the audio would hit the HyperDeck at the exact same time. That's what I would do if I was at venues wanting to record audio from a console. And I would record that audio onto one camera, obviously, or in the HyperDeck. I would record audio on all the cameras, but I would probably feed audio to one of my cameras to get a really good quality reference. And then I'd also be recording quality console audio for that live event or that recording live into my HyperDeck, so I know I have good audio when I'm all done. And that's what I would use that for. And then the other output goes to my Extreme ISO. So that's audio right now you're hearing. So this microphone goes to the Rodecaster. The Rodecaster Pro goes into the HOSA. From the HOSA, it's fed in 3.5 jack into channel 1 in my ATEM Extreme ISO, and that's how I get audio for my live show. I did the same thing for my ATEM Mini Pro, and because it only has 3 channels, I don't have audio going into my ATEM. So that's why I feed the program out into my ATEM Mini Pro, and if I wanted to stream to another location at the same time, I could do that. I could send the program to my ATEM Mini Pro. It already has audio coming from this microphone through the Extreme, and then I could send it to another venue, and that's another reason why I have it at the beginning of this whole setup, so then I can feed audio into it from the Extreme. You could do the same thing if it was on the other end. So you could have the Extreme and then your ATEM Mini Pro, and then stream out from your ATEM Mini Pro. And I know people that go ATEM Mini Extreme or Extreme ISO to an ATEM Mini, and then to a web presenter or to a Blackmagic HD. So keep that in mind. There's lots of different ways you can do it. My way isn't the only way. You just got to solve the problems that you're trying to create. And because I'm doing training in multiple cameras and I want to demo web cameras, the quality of web cameras for my clients to try to convince them to buy a DSLR camera or a Sony ZV-1. I want to show them the quality difference between these cameras and the face cam, or this camera and the Logitech C920. I want them to be able to see 720p on my laptop. So, and compare that to a C920 at 1080p or a face cam at 1080p. And then in these cameras, just they're better quality, they have better lenses. And I am also going to be showing clients what they can do with this device and the different cameras on it. So keep that in mind. I'm going to roll this and we'll get back to the Q&A. This is Grace. She's a client of mine. We've been working together now for about 5 months. And the way that works is she pays a little bit each month, and that gives her so many hours, and then we create together. Some of those hours are used here in the studio. Some of those hours are used one-on-one for mentoring. Some of those hours are actually used with me doing things with my laptop and helping her with her social media, building her business called Priority Home Health. And here's the cool thing about Grace. She was the person that we found that runs the company that's taking care of my father-in-law. And I'd share that in the post-show only. And my father-in-law has been slowly deteriorating. We needed 24-hour care. Couldn't find anybody. My wife found Priority Home Healthcare LLC. Grace responded to her call, called her back, and we've had this relationship with her and my parents and her team of nurses, as well as now she's a client because we met through that relationship with my mom and dad, or my wife's parents, who live next door to me. And we're next to them because of my dad's health to help mom out. So with that, let's hit a macro. And here is my good friend and client now, Grace. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, when we first met, I noticed that you had an interesting history, background, nationality. And I told you, I think that's something that should be displayed. So talk a little bit about your history and your nationality. And people tell me I have an accent. You have a slight accent. So tell me a little bit about your history. Where's your family from? And
I was born in Kenya.
And for people that don't know where Kenya is
in the eastern part of Africa.
Africa, right?
Yes. It's very warm over there.
I know. I noticed that you guys like it hot, right?
Yeah, we are always cold. Yeah. Well, I am.
Because here we'll have the temperature set at like 71, and you guys exist at around 80 degrees almost every day, right? Average?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I never ever saw snow before. So when I came into the U.S., I was 35 and saw snow for the first time. I have also tried to change my accent a little bit so people can actually understand me.
Well, yeah, I think to be able to understand, but what fascinates me is it's the culture.
Yeah.
What I love about the United States is there is such a variety of culture, and it's disappointing sometimes when we don't stop and identify that. And in my audience, right, the people that listen to my live stream and watch my YouTube channel, and other people that I'm working with come from all over the world. So what's the greatest thing about what's the greatest shock about America when you came when you were 35, and what is one of your favorite aspects of our being in the United States?
Well, I'm not sure about too much shock. I think
Snow.
The snow was big time, and then also just the being so alone. I think, as in everybody's in their car, everybody goes to their work, and you just don't see people in the streets.
And your culture, from where you're from, it's like people everywhere all the time,
People
right?
everywhere all the time, and people come to your house, and you entertain, and there's just always people, because we live as a close unit, as a family, and so the extended family is just as close as your family.
Yeah, one of the things I love about the Hispanic culture in our community, right, that I'm familiar with, is their family.
Yeah.
They have these incredible times together as a family. And now I'm German background, and I always tell people, I go, my family would sit around the dinner table and not say anything.
Oh my goodness.
And then I got married to my wife, Shannon, and her culture was you could learn. I learned about babies at the table as a young married man, because they talked about everything at the dinner table. I think that influenced your nursing.
Yeah.
Because for people that don't know Grace and I are working together. She is a client of mine. I'm working for her. Kind of helping you with your social media. We just did an interview that we're going to be using for the audio part of it.
Yeah.
This is the only thing we did video, because I wanted to introduce you as a client to my team, my people out there that listen to us. But the importance of understanding, your culture and how that applies and how that can actually help you with your business.
Because we were just, we started to take care of, by the time you're 10, you're taking care of your younger brother or sister, and it's just caring and caring throughout. You know? And then of course it's required by the culture. The parents took care of you when you were little, and it's time for you to take care of them when they're older.
And I have huge respect for that about some of the cultures out there, including your culture, is that was just part of it. We've talked about that as a family.
Yeah.
Our parents took care of us. We need to take care of them. And that we live next door to our family, my in-laws, and we position these two houses side by side with no fence.
Yes.
Because we want to be there to care for them. And I remember
it's absolutely beautiful.
I remember when we first moved our two houses together, my mom, I call her mom.
Yes.
She's my mother-in-law, but I call her mom, my wife's mom. And she came over like a bunch of times. She says, "You sure you want to do this?"
I know.
Because that's our culture. I don't think that would even be asked in your culture.
Yes. But what you have done, I don't think I've seen it throughout my nursing yet.
Yeah. But you would see it in your country.
Oh, in my country, it's just what happened.
So I get extra points for doing that.
Extra points.
So it's good. I'm glad that we have this relationship, because again, I think, and I've shared this on my channel, that I was asked a few weeks ago, what are my influences? What is it? What inspires me? And I told them, I said, people inspire me.
That's right.
Getting to know people, the influence that they can have, what you can learn in the relationship, that they are the greatest tool we have. And I told you when we first started working together that my passion isn't for you to become dependent. My passion is to grow, grow together, to see you exceed. I would love for some of the things that we talk about right now with social media and all that stuff, for you then to be mentoring someone else.
That's right.
And maybe at some point someone says, well, where did you learn this? If you mention my name or you don't mention my name, it's the fact that you went on and you're able to do it now, and other people will grow through you because you took the time to learn it. And here's your chance to throw me under the bus if you want to.
This is real. I would tell everybody that if you want anybody to mentor you, it is Keith. And I'm saying that from the bottom of my heart.
Awesome. Can you see me blushing a little bit? You got me.
Because I can see the passion in you. And you are a very good teacher, and you're a very good listener. And just a little time we've done this, I have learned a few things that I didn't even know about. And so I would really recommend that.
Well, I want to commend, I think that great. And I want to commend you, because I think what's going to set Priority Home Health Care LLC, which is your business. You do home care and home health care for families, primarily in home. And then you have a group home as well, where people can live in and get help. And I'm assisting you in building that business. But what I want to commend you in, not every business person I talk to is willing to learn. I think sometimes they just want someone to come in like me and solve a problem they're having. But what I really appreciate about you, and why I believe you're going to be successful, is that you really genuinely, and I mean this in all authenticity, I think you generally want to grow. And that's one of the things that excited me. It makes, just so you know, from my perspective, it makes me want to work harder for you.
Thank you.
You invest in the nurses and you invest in these families. I believe that the good things, if you invest good things in people, it's like seed. It will come back. That, things grow when we invest in them. Now, these are fake plants, but the idea of all these beautiful colors and
I love it.
Yeah, and the color that you bring. And I told you that I think you bring color to the healthcare industry, and that should be something that we put on display rather than that we hide. So this is Grace, and she is a client of mine, Priority Home Healthcare.
Yeah.
And she is a registered nurse. And what was your official title? I wrote it down here.
I am a BSN RN.
Yeah, BSN RN. And so listen to some of the audio versions of our interview here on my channel and over at Priority Home Healthcare LLC if you want to know more about Grace. But thank you for taking a few minutes just to kind of greet my live stream audience. And obviously this will be recorded and I'll play it for them. But I wanted them to see behind the scenes of what I do when I'm not just sitting at this desk live streaming. So anyway, so thank you for joining me today for this little segment. So everybody say thank you to Grace for joining us today. Well, I shared that with you. I feel like one of the things that's lacking, and I see lots of comments, so I want to get to these, is what's going on in the personal world. I love Peter McKinnon because he's shown some stuff behind the scenes that he loves leatherworking. He did that before we started his channel. And I love some of that. And I think that was a lot of the style of what was on YouTube a while back. And then when live streaming hit, we all kind of decided to get behind a desk and have a scene behind us, either a green screen where we could put anything back there, or we make a set with some cool lights. And we lose sight of what people are doing. Lots of us who are on YouTube have occupations. We have some of the tools we use here, we use outside. Other tools we don't talk about in our live streams, we use on a day-to-day basis. And I just wanted to give you guys a little insight into my passion because of that question, what inspires me. And truly, it is people like Grace. Priority Home Healthcare LLC met a need with our family. She came over from South Africa and when she was 35, and she went and got her nursing degree. And then she started the higher end college, got her certification, and now she has her own LLC. She also has a group home where she has, I think, 6 or 7 people that live in that group home. And then she travels to people's houses to do in-home care or in-home health care. So she does both. So you can do in-home care, which is paid for by the client. And then in-home health care would be paid for like a insurance company or whatever. So I just wanted you guys to meet Grace, and we're working with her. And you can check out some links to her webpage, and I'll put a link here later tonight to the video that we did for her, a little promo video, just to give her a tool to start getting her face and what she does in a home out there. And I produced it, low budget, but did it. Even like this video right here was mainly for audio. That's why you see all the stuff on the desk. Had no intention to use it for video other than to share it with you on the channel so you can see my headphones. Because we were just doing an audio podcast because I'm teaching her how to do blogs, and I wanted to ask her questions, have her respond to them. I'm going to take those answers. I'm going to help create some blogs for her, as well as some audio sound bites to go with them, because I just want people to catch the heart of the person who created Priority Home Healthcare LLC. She's a very outgoing, loving person, and she wants to transfer that to her team and transfer that from her team to these clients who are in whatever circumstance that they're in, needing care at home or living in a home, which is great. So off that soapbox, that's Grace. I hope you enjoyed meeting her, and I'd love to hear your ideas, your comments in the chat. Let me go back here and catch up before we're completely out of time. Going to go till 6:30 tonight. If you want to stay, you're welcome. If you want to bust out of here at 1:15, you're welcome to bust out of here. But going back here, I do want to show this because I had it in the still image. So let's cut to this picture right here. Bring this up just a little bit more on my camera. Pretty good focus, and push the button. Trying to get some audio. I'll do that one more time. So just a cool little thing that I got for Christmas as well. It's going to stay in the box. It's just a little TV with a remote control. It has four or five little clips in it, and I got this for Christmas and just wanted to share it with you guys tonight. It's a part of that collection. And so if you want to get a little TV, they actually have one that just has Friends clip from the TV series. So they actually came out with a lot of these, and it was interesting that there was some new, fresh stuff available during the holidays, new Batmobiles, new characters from the 1966 film, new books being released. So it just seems like since Adam West passed away, it's a trend. And I just wanted to give a shout out to that. And someone asked about a small TV, and perhaps that's what you're talking about, the one I had in the still image. So I don't know what song you're going to hear in your sleep, but it says, controlling technology, I'm going to be hearing this song in my sleep. Craig said hi, back for this part. I think I need a tiny TV. That's what I was responding to. Freddie's going to have a channel about wellness. And I am going to have Freddie, once he gets going and set up in his studio on the live show, on the post show. And so we're waiting until he can get that thing going, and I'll let him fill in all the other blanks, but it's going to be about wellness, and we're going to talk about that. Then Paul C. Buff, he is related to Ben C. Bear. No, Paul C. Buff is not related to Benjamin C. Bear. Benjamin C. Bear is one of my other friends that lives in a trunk. Let's see. Which journey, life's journey? Is that the L478D meter? We talked about that earlier. I too enjoy photography. That's controlling technology. What would be the best lens? I saw the response to that from David Osler. Osler, I actually pronounced that wrong. Sorry. He said his 135 millimeter 1.8. Is that a Canon, Sony? What brand is that? Your color always looks really good. This is from Craig F. Are you using a LUT or any other special coloring? No, Canon just has good colors right out of the camera. In fact, if you do any studying, that's what people always say. They always give Canon the color button, right? The ribbon. And they're not the only manufacturer. So like Sony does amazing with focus and other things as well, right? And so again, you know, whatever brand, this just has good color, and I try to keep the exposure as close as I can. Because I turn up lights on my desk, sometimes I do get overexposed on this side. So I can bring that down like that, so I'm not overexposed. In fact, that's just turned the light off, and I don't want it all the way off. So let's try that again, bring it down to there. So again, good light, good exposure, and then having a camera that produces good, crisp color is super important. Freddie said thanks to David for responding to the question and about his channel and about the lens. And again, David has some great material on his channel. Go over and check that out. Freddie says, feel free to say anything. So careful, Freddie. That's how this whole Ratso thing started, I think. But I'll just say this. Freddie is working with people in his native language all over the country, all over the world. And when we originally talked, he was talking about connecting with English-speaking people here in the United States. And I said, well, let's connect. You know, like I'm saying, I'm all in. We can talk about all that other stuff, what you and I do outside of live streaming later, and he is going to use some of the tools that we talk about to help reach his people, to train his teams around the world. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm really excited to be a part of Freddie's and anybody's studio. Like we talked about Quick Tech Solutions, Tony has been building a new studio inside his house, and he did his first video. That's exciting, and I can't wait to see some of the behind-the-scenes things. He's also talked about doing some sound panels and soundproofing, which I get that. I need to do more in here. So shout out to those guys and to Freddie. And you guys will get a chance to meet him in a live stream sometime this year, hopefully, as things come together on his end to do that. Let's see. This is from LT Cullen. I must just have a hard time pronouncing some of these channel names, but how do Keith? This is LT AK Allen. Really enjoying the shows. My Batmobile is wet sanded Polar Lights Deluxe. Yeah, wet sanding. It's a model, right? Polar Lights model kit. So I may do one of those one day with my grandson Dominic. We'll see. That's really cool. I'd love to see a picture of that. You can reach out to me in lifejourneyproductionsstudios.com and then contact me, and then we could do some pictures back and forth and share our Batman love. Let's see. Really cool book from Freddie. Ratso is going to be okay. I saw the condolences. Ratso is going to be having some work done on his nose, as well as a couple other things that need to be TLC'd before I get him out and do some extended prep for our live shows. We have to meet, discuss the topics, figure out what Ratso is going to talk about, what I'm going to talk about, and then all the ad lib in between. So just like co-hosts have to do, we have to have those meetings. And he's just under the weather right now, getting some things taken care of. Batman fans, thank you for the cool book. I'm going to enjoy sitting down and reading some comics, just completely, totally for pleasure. We talked about the XLR patch from my Rodecaster Pro. Thank you for the nice setup comment. Freddie, if you have, for example, a Blackmagic Design Studio camera 4K, has SDI output, I want to record in 4K. Would I be better to record into a HybridX SD to SD or into the SD via USB-C? No, Freddie, you would go directly USB-C from the camera. That's what they're designed for, directly into the HybridX SDI in. You want to get a 4K recordable HybridX, which the HybridX HD Plus will do 4K 30 frames per second. And if you want to do 60 frames per second, you got to get the 4K version of the HybridX. And then they have 8K higher end models that I never talk about on my channel because I can't afford one. And why talk about something that I can't get my hands on myself? So SDI from the camera directly in, and obviously look at the Blackmagic design camera to see what it can do for recording. You're also going to want to use a LUT either before or after. If you're going to show that recording live, you need a LUT to color it because Blackmagic cameras export raw. So you got to put a LUT, and a LUT is basically a lookup table. So it basically colors the film, even though you can color it later. The LUT just, you run the raw through it, it puts some color on it, like the Canon has color built in, color science built into what it's sending out the HDMI. But raw lets you color it later. And anytime you have a raw camera, you got to color that, and that's what you call a LUT lookup table, and that's what you do. And you can design those yourself using Adobe software or Final Cut. I think you can do coloring. You can do it in DaVinci Resolve, and then you could create your own LUT or your own look for your channel. And I don't use LUTs because I'm getting the color right out of the cameras. But if I do add a Blackmagic Design Cinema Camera 6K, then I will be adding a LUT to that camera, and it's not going to look anything like my Canons. It's really hard to match a Blackmagic Design camera with any other camera live. You can do it in post, but it takes a lot of work. But there's some LUTs out there, obviously, and so I'm sure there's a perfect LUT out there to make it match a Canon EOS R or a Canon 5D Mark III, 4. Okay, so I notice your background accent lighting is different tonight. Yeah. I don't ever do it exactly the same. And tonight I was so busy getting ready for the live stream that I didn't get a chance to open up the app, which is the Sidus Link app by Aperture, and change the color. Though I do change, these are bulbs I bought from Home Depot, and I do change those. I have some Philips Hue lights as well, but I'm not using those. If I'm charging this light, this is the bulb light by Aperture, and it is it's charged by putting it in a light. So I'll take that bulb out and put this light in and charge it. And this runs out first. This has the worst battery. And these are really designed to put in a lamp on a shoot. So you could make the color whatever you want it to be. So if you want something really warm, you want something very daylight, you want to use it to match your exact filters, then this actually has the ability to use different settings in it. So different settings for daylight with filtering, and also tungsten light with filtering. So you can use these. So if you're going to a shoot and there's some lamps you want to use in the shoot, like if I'm shooting in a home and I want to keep the ambiance of the home, and that's the whole idea, I'm trying to capture it, but it doesn't match with my daylight balance lights that I use mostly, then I would put these in, take their bulbs out, and I only have one. I'm going to add 4 total of these in my kit, because that's the most lamps I'm going to run into probably in a shoot, and then I'll put these in. So this is a aperture light. They also can be used with that, with the MC lights, and they have a new adapter that you can use your old aperture lights, go through the new hub, and you can use the Sidus Link app to control your lights. And so I can do chases with these lights. I have 5 now. I could add this to that chase scene. And if I wanted to, I could have it changing colors with time behind me. And I know how to use that app. It's just not something I'm going to do probably for my live show, unless we demo that someday. And this is going on my shelf when I'm live for the first show, but it's dead by the time I get to the second hour. So are these. If I have them too bright, they die pretty quickly too. Now I could power these off a USB-C hub, but I can't power, and I can charge these wirelessly or by USB-C, but the only way to charge this is you got to plug it in to a lamp. And so that's the downside of these. But the good side is these are really designed to replace bulbs in a shoot where you have lamps that have a bulb in them and they're the wrong color. And how do you fix that? It's a horrible job in post, so why not fix it before you go and shoot video? So, okay. I don't know if I caught up on all these or not, but I see a comment in here. Sony APS-C Sigma 18 to 50 2.8 is an awesome lens as well. Julie Newmar and Eartha Kitt, Catwoman. Oh, is that the song? Oh no, those are actresses. Okay. Should have stopped and thought for a second. Lieutenant A.K. Allen, it's truncated. Have no clue what that means. The last question was Tony's. I noticed your background accent lighting is different tonight. So haven't really changed anything. Yeah, good interviews. Where's your accent from? Yeah, exactly. We all have an accent from other people's perspective. I have lived in Pennsylvania and here in Washington. So if I have any kind of accent, it probably comes from that area. And I notice if I'm with people for 2 or 3 days that have a strong accent from the South, predominantly like when I used to go visit my family down in Texas and in Florida, my accent would change while I'm there. So I must have a little bit of chameleon in me because I can actually do that. Now, Ratso, he has a number of different accents because he traveled around in a box all over the United States from town to town to town because he's a rat. And so he had to go wherever the food was and wherever the spoils were. So, and it was just really easy for him to sneak into a post office inside his crate, put a stamp on there, and they'd ship him to the next location. And, you know, rats at dark at night know how to get out of a box like that. Incredible teeth, very intelligent, and he would reside there and then go again to another area. And we've lost his box over the years because he stays in the house now. He doesn't need that box. And so we lost the box and all the stamps and everything from all those locations, and actually have been missing Ratso's box now for a couple of years. So maybe one day we'll build him a new one, but so far he's fine here. Okay. So, unless you have any other questions, I want to wrap this up and make sure that I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. Again, they make an adapter from Joby. They make great adapters. That's where you get the Gorilla Pods from. But they have these nice iPad and iPhone or smartphone. If you have other tablets, Samsung tabs, Galaxies, you can use that bracket, and it's just a great tool. And then if you go to Elgato's site, they have these nice mounts and these clamps and these flex adapters. So then you could use those from a shelf, and that's where I have my iPad hanging from. And that's where I put all my characters up there, and I have it hanging down right here next to my PC. It's kind of in the way when I'm transferring discs in and out of the HyperDeck, but it's perfect location for the live streams because it's right there. And I will be using it for the chat sometimes, and other times I'll be using it for mix effects for macros mainly. And then I use this iPhone for chat, and then to use it for casting to my Apple TV as an extra camera. And so good tools. So check out that. If you want more information about any of the Batman paraphernalia, let me know. If you are a person out there that needs help with live streaming tech, or maybe you might think that I may be able to answer some questions for you, I do a 1-hour free consult with new clients. You can sign up for that on my lifejourneyproductions.com page, and I'll put a link to that contact page here tonight in the chat. Hopefully I remember that. If not, remind me. I looks like we're going to pass 100, the next 100 level of subscribers, which will put us over 1,000. And once we get 2 or 3 over that, we're going to begin to schedule and get ready for the big long live. And that live will take you through here, more still images for the Rodecaster Pro and my lighting setup. And then we'll go into the garage and show you my green screen and my other pull down screens, my cabinet where I keep a lot of my other stuff that I take for me when I'm traveling. I have a tub that I have a bunch of parts and pieces that I take around with me for big shoots or outdoor productions. And so I'd love to show you guys a tour of that, answer questions, and that will be in our big tour when we break 1,000 subscribers. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining me for the post show. Thank you for joining me in the live stream. We are well over another hour and 15 minutes and approaching an hour and a half tonight. Actually, really, in reality, just over an hour because I didn't get live tonight till about 20 after. So if you have any last questions, I'd love to answer those. I just don't want to keep you guys here too long. I know how difficult it is to listen to someone for over 2 hours, and that's why we're trying to keep these down combined to right around 2 hours with the intro reels and outro reels. I'm not really counting in that time. So if you have any questions about the HyperDeck, feel free to ask me. The HD, don't buy an HD if you want key. Buy the HD Plus if you want to have a key, because the newer versions announced in July, you have to be in the HyperDeck HD Plus or higher if you want to have a fill and key SDI out, and that would be to do animated graphics and things like that. If you just want to play video or just record, then the HD is perfectly fine, and that's what I recommended to this venue in Spokane, and they're going to be ordering it this week, and then when it comes in, I'm going to be helping them install the Web Presenter HD as well as the HyperDeck Studio HD via Zoom. And again, that'll be fun. I don't have a Web Presenter here, so I will have to, and I don't have the HD HyperDeck, but I'm very familiar with the form factor and what it can and can't do because I studied that when I was getting ready to do my HyperDeck series. If you want to know more about the HyperDeck, I have the mini series here on my channel. That's the older version. And I also have a new series here on the channel with 5 videos on the new HyperDecks by Blackmagic Design. That's just one of the many things that I love, and I wanted to do a video series on those. So let me know in the post shows. This is the 3rd week, what you like and what you don't like, what you want more of, what you like less of. Because I want to take that in consideration for those of you that are joining me every week. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the time, and I want to make sure that we're doing things that would be attractive to you to join me each week, or why have a live stream. Trip to Post Falls, maybe next post show. We'll see. I also have friends up in Post Falls, family up there. And so who knows? It's beautiful country, beautiful trees, and it's great to go up there occasionally. I was just, 35 miles west of Post Falls in Spokane Valley on Wednesday. Drove up in the morning early and then drove back after working until about 4:15 at this venue. So spent about from 9 to 4 at the venue. First 45 minutes catching up with a friend of mine that works there locally, and had a blast. And we'll talk more about that as we get those 2 devices. I do have permission to shoot that install, so I will be recording when we're doing that training with their permission right here from the studio. So we'll have some footage of them installing the Web Presenter HD, hopefully, as well as the new HyperDeck HD. Tony says, would love to connect to have you help me create a stinger transition. I'd love to. So let's schedule something, Tony. So that would be fun, and I would be happy to do that. Will you tour your house, your whole house? No, I'm not going to tour my whole house. No real reason to do that because upstairs is my wife's office for her midwifery practice. She is a very qualified, very gifted midwife, specializes in home birth, unless she has to transfer a client that just couldn't handle it. And so her office is upstairs. That's kind of her space. And then the rest of her house is like a couple bedrooms, a living room and a kitchen, and hallway to the garage. So we will go from my studio down the hallway into the garage together. So enjoy that. You'll see most of the house on that trip, just FYI. Not Post Falls next trip. In fact, I probably would not do a post show if I was traveling, but I might show you some footage. Thanks, Tony. Email me and we'll catch up. It's been a while. And maybe when I get Adam back on the show, you can pop on too and give us an update at the same time with what's going on in your new studio. So, okay. Well, guys, I am pretty well done. It was great to share with you my little Batman TV, my new Omnibus 66 Batman book, to share grace with you and show you a little bit behind the scenes of that set. And sometimes we'll do audio, sometimes we'll do video in here. And I also produce my wife's podcast in here. So glad you guys got to see that. If there's anything else that you would like to see, let me know. We'll try to include it in the post show. I'm not sure Post Falls will be in the cards, but maybe some footage from Post Falls and Spokane Valley if we get up there, as well as maybe some of the things that we're going to update in my local venue that I attend on Sundays. And they're planning on getting a 6K Blackmagic camera, a new DJI gimbal, the newer DJI, is it DJI? Osmo gimbal, and also a video monopod, which I love. I have a BenQ that I think it's BenQ monopod that I use, video monopod. That's a great tool to get great footage and not be so shaky like I was tonight. So again, and if you have a passion for something besides photography that you like to share with me, I'd love to hear it. You can either do that privately through contacting me on my website or here right in the chat. And I'll try to put those links up there to Grace's video as well as her website. And if there's any other links that you guys want tonight, let me know either in the comments or in the chat before we close this night. So MixFX is a great app. Look at Adam's new update. Download it. I already have my phone updated in MixFX and already have my iPad updated to the newest version of MixFX. So check that out. There's some cool features in it. I plan on rewatching his video a couple times over the next 3 days because he covered a lot of cool stuff. So check that out. That's MixFX by Adam Towle, and he has his own YouTube channel. So go check that out and get his update if you already own MixFX. And it's not an S, MixFX. So that's it. I'm done. I'm done talking. I got to go make some dinner. Thank you so much for joining me, guys, tonight. And I will see you on the other side very soon. Outro post show. There's the macro.